Let's wait for Bob.
Okay.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing, pre-cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Beelzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast a marlow or two, and prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another Seaside episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob, and I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 479, recorded on Monday, June 3rd, 2024. Tonight we're talking about another You Pick the Flick. This was chosen by your boy G Baby. The movie is Dead and Buried from 1981. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show tonight. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy, Randeezy. What's up, man?
Look at me.
How's it going, man? Good to hear from you. Good to see you.
Likewise, sir. I hear you
Yep.
painted the town red last night.
I did, man. You know, I had dinner out, so that qualifies as painting the town red in this stage of my life. Yes, I had a dinner outside of my home.
Crazy. Fantastic.
Mhm.
Last but not least, calling in from Seoul, South Korea, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy, Living Dead Stains. Can't kill me, boys.
Ooh.
You can only make me dead.
The distinction is very subtle.
Yeah, it's razor thin, really. Randeezy, I think it's important to note that today is your birthday and you're choosing to record a podcast with us.
Whoa.
That's
The
right.
best birthday present of all. Friendship.
Every day is your
Is
birthday.
that,
with
is that where we're
friendship.
landing on that? Okay.
I got you some great friendship, Randy.
Wow. You hope you broke the bank. I expect
Oh.
quality.
Well, I had to, go a little cheaper this year, tighten the
Shush.
belt.
Oh,
So, I had
Jesus
to-
Christ.
We've got
Oh,
friendship
quantity.
at home, Randy.
we
Bought it in
got
bulk.
Kirkland's signature.
Big box full of friendship.
Call it palship. It's just as good.
Well, happy fucking birthday, Randy.
Thanks very much.
Happy
I
birthday,
appreciate it.
Randy.
Welcome.
My march towards the grave is steady and continuing. So here's to us.
I
That's
hope
about
I
all
got
you can
it.
hope for.
I hope I look as good as you when I get your age, Randy.
Mm.
Well, if you have an artist working on you, then you might stand a chance.
Who's your
all right.
guy?
Speak- I call him Grandpa Joe.
Mm.
Nice. Well, let's go ahead and get into a little bit of housekeeping there, gentlemen's. So we did just have a poll close. It's a brand new month.
Whoa.
And the winner of the June poll, which was Randeezy's Takeover Month, was indeed the Mothmang Prophecies.
Whoa, we're getting the Mang.
Yeah.
Mang comes to town, boys, halfway to Christmas.
When the
This-
mang comes around.
The Mothmang. We'll be talking about that very shortly. That does mean we got a brand new poll currently posted on our Patreon website. If you guys support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this July. This is my
Bob,
turn.
why don't I prompt you about your takeover month?
Ask me
Here's your
away.
prompt. Here's your prompt. What about your takeover month?
What
Oh,
about
thanks
it?
so much for asking there, Randeezy. My takeover month is simply titled Getting Weird with It. Because I want to
That
get weird with
tracks.
it. And I chose 3 weird ass movies. They are all about serial killers and they're weird. So here they are.
Spoilers. Damn.
Well, I know. Oh my God. The Greasy Strangler, The Ice Cream Mang, and Nightmare Beach.
Oh, Bob.
Hell yeah, dude.
Why do you hate us?
We're hunting
Wow.
for dick.
What are those numbers looking like now?
I'm doing this to you, not for you.
Yeah.
That's That's clear.
Yes. Ice Cream Mang is in first place with a 44% of the vote.
Hell yeah.
Nightmare Beach second place with 31%. Bringing up the rear, the Greasy Strangler, 25% of the vote.
Whoa, oh. I'll have to get a
People
special
don't like-
screaming and creaming if Ice Cream Man wins.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
I'll have
You
to
know,
find something
Bob-
wild to eat in Korea.
Like your own arm with a scoop of strawberry on top.
Have some cockroach
Maybe.
ice cream or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh.
Roll it around in the gutter for a while. We're
Butter
getting
cream.
weird.
Getting weird with it. Get your votes in before the end of June. We'll see what we're talking about this July. In other Patreon news, we're dropping mini casts every other Friday. We recently dropped one. Juice, you were talking about a movie called You'll Never Find Me. That is a Shudder original. It is on Shudder now. An
Yes, it
Australian
is.
joint. Good shit. Also coming up this Friday, I'm dropping a fresh hot mini cast, and I'm talking about The First Omen, which is on Hulu now.
Nice. About time we covered
Man,
that
was
one.
so quick.
Yeah. I didn't catch this one in theaters, but it seemed like the reviews were pretty overall positive, I would say.
Especially
So,
for one of these like go backs and revisit some, older
Yeah.
franchise. Yeah, it did seem pretty positive.
One of those trendy go backs and revisits them.
Yeah,
We
that's
see them all the time.
standard genre on IMDb, of course. Go backs and revisit them.
What are your top 10 go backs and revisit them? Call in.
It's our next YouTube video, actually.
Let us. Yeah, it's a prequel made damn near 50 years after the fact. But yeah, that's dropping this Friday over on Patreon. Check that out.
Cool.
I went long on that one. I think I went for like 35 minutes all by my lonesome.
Whoa,
I
Bob.
couldn't
Oh my
shut up.
god.
I wouldn't
Whoa,
shut up.
Bob. All that
I will
pent-up
not.
talk just spilling out now that Randy and I aren't there to keep you down.
Oh,
Ah, freedom.
no one to pin me here.
This
Fucking-
bargain bin friendship is weighing me down, clearly.
Hold on, Bob. We have a point to make about this, actually.
In other Patreon news, we have a brand new Patreon supporter we need to give mad shouts outs to. A big, gigantic thank you to Leslie C for signing up on Patreon and showing us love. Every dollar you guys contribute goes right back into the show. It truly keeps this train a rolling. It means a lot to us. Thank you sincerely. And as is tradition around these here parts, we owe Leslie the straight chilling salute. This one goes out to you.
Oh, God, slap me in the ass.
Slap me in the ass. Thank you.
Thank you.
You'd think after this many years, I wouldn't be surprised by just how vulgar that particular version of the bump is. But, here we are.
Oh, God, yes.
The crassness. My God, have we no shame?
No.
We do not. Thank you, Leslie, for signing up. That's all I got, gentlemen. You got anything you want to plug?
I do have some housekeeping. I was on another episode of Don't Believe the Hype, which is an
Damn.
Arctic Monkeys podcast, going chronologically through the Arctic Monkeys catalog. This was their Humbug wrap-up, though. So they're wrapping up their third season, which is the Humbug third album from Arctic Monkeys. And yeah, so we did that. We ended up having to do it as a two-parter. So this is part 1 of 2 coming out this week. And we kind of like do list, like rank the songs. We go through like all the songs and rank them and just kind of talk about them a little bit and talk about the album as a whole and our thoughts and feelings about it. So yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, check that out wherever you get your podcast.
All right.
What was your favorite song on the record?
You're gonna have to wait.
Keeping the beat.
To wait and find out, Bob.
That's the one.
Shit. Fuck. All right. Well, check it out, folks. Randeezy, you got anything?
Not a goddamn thing. So, Bob, why don't you
We-
send us home here?
We clean.
All right.
This house is clean.
All right, let's get into the main event. We are talking Dead and Buried, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, do you not have this box?
Let's not get crazy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Of course I do.
Okay.
Right here.
There it is.
Right here. You like that?
Thank
You
God.
like that? Behind the
Um,
scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. That's
It's
pretty
okay.
regular looking. It looks like it. Is it still in its packaging?
No, I opened it. I
Oh,
watched
you
it.
did. Okay.
Yeah, it's
I
just
opened it.
Is
I
that
mean,
a legit like?
Huh?
Is that like how many? Is there a bunch of releases of this, or is that like the
I'm not
top of the line?
I'm not totally sure. So I got the Blue Underground release of this. It is on Blu-ray. I know they've been putting a lot of
What
stuff out.
difference does it make where he got it? Point is, he got it.
I got it.
Perfect.
I know they've been putting out stuff on 4K recently. I can't remember if this got a 4K yet or not. I want to say it did. So it's really easy to find. It's also on Shudder. If you guys are listening and still haven't watched it, it is on Shudder. So really accessible movie. Check it out. But yeah, Dead and Buried from 1981, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour and 34 minutes. This was directed by Gary Sherman, written by Jeff Millar, Alex Stern, and Ronald Shusett. Stars James Ferrantino, Melody Anderson, Jack Albertson. There's also a sort of not quite cameo, a very small role that Robert Englund plays in this. Nancy Locke, Lisa Blount, Dennis Redfield, some other folks. Plot synopsis brought to you by the back of the box is as follows. Something very strange is happening in the quiet coastal village of Potter's Bluff, where tourists and transients are warmly welcomed, then brutally murdered. But even more shocking is when these slain strangers suddenly reappear as normal, friendly citizens around town. Now the local sheriff and an eccentric mortician must uncover the horrific secret of a community where no one is ever really dead and buried.
Oh my god!
Joe Mangs, have you seen this movie before? And would you recommend folks check it out? Randeezy, the birthday boy, kick us off.
Sure. No, this is definitely new to me. I have seen this, the cover of this, the poster, whatever, around. I know that it's been mentioned around as in relation to Stan Winston and things like that. But like, it's very, very, very surface level knowledge for me. Would I recommend? I think I would lightly recommend this. Yeah, like it gave me a bit of a surprise. I was expecting it to be a little bit less engaging than it was, and a little bit like, I don't know. It kept me guessing, this movie, a little bit, at least for the majority of the runtime, about what was actually happening. I had a good time with it. I was surprised how much of a good time I had with it. It seemed like it might be a little bit more schlocky than we ended up getting. So, yeah, a
Right
light
on.
recommend. Yeah.
Okay. Juice, what about you?
Yeah, so we're heading into the month of June now, and you know what that
You
means?
were right the first time.
Is it's time for that summer horror, your beach stuff. So one thing I appreciate about this is, it's kind of setting this kind of creepy cove town. And a weird thing about this is yet another one. This has been happening a lot, I feel like, over the past year, where this is a movie I thought I had never watched, but as I was watching it, I was like, wait a second. And especially the ending, I was like, whoa, yeah, I have seen this for sure, but I can't really place when I did, but I definitely had. And yeah, I kind of agree with Randy. It was fun. And it's a fun, I think, kind of like nautical summary. It doesn't feel summary, but just kind of the beach or whatever is there. So yeah, I would generally recommend it. It's a pretty fun movie, actually. And surprisingly brutal in some places, but we'll get into that. Bob, how about you? Would you recommend people check this out?
Yes, I would. I'd seen this one once, maybe twice before. Joe Bob did it a couple years ago. I think that was the first time I'd seen it was when he presented it. And yeah, I dig this one. This is sort of like a 80s sleeper, 1981. It's when, people fawn all over 80s horror pretty regularly. This is one that isn't often mentioned.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's among the best, but I think it's definitely worth watching. And yeah, 'tis the season in a way. This is a, beachside town. It's a good time to watch it if you haven't already. And especially if you like sort of 80s style stuff with a lot of practical effects in it. I think this will scratch that itch for you. So yeah,
Put it on-
I'd recommend it.
Put it on the Straight Chilling calendar, June 6th. Let's pencil it in.
Sounds good to me. Randy's birthday. This is birthday pick, the 3rd. You gotta.
Excuse me.
Randy said it.
I did.
Isn't
what's
that
happening?
right?
Did?
Holy
I
fuck.
did.
What?
What would be your birthday pick? I want to put you
Yeah,
on the spot.
each one of
Hardcore.
our days has to have our special birthday picks on the Straight Chilling
I don't know.
calendar.
You're
That's
putting me
definitely
real
coming
on the
out.
spot.
on it. Spit
Put me on
roasting
the
you
spot
right on the
now.
spot.
And whatever I say is going to stand the test of time.
Oh yeah, that's
Bear-
what's going on there.
The Bear
Yeah.
Winch quintrilogy, says Randy.
Oh man, I don't have enough in me for that. If you know what I mean.
Oh, Randy!
Man,
you
he's
gotta get
getting
those numbers
older.
up.
those are
pump-
rookie numbers.
Pump them up.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll go with a stalwart favorite in Sleepaway Camp for June
There
3rd.
you go.
Hell yeet.
It's on the
Mhm.
calendar.
All right.
That's
Written in
def-
blood.
Calendar.
That's definitely coming out.
Oh my god, yes. It is coming. It is coming.
Just wait for that 1000th episode release.
Right around the
Yep.
corner.
We're canceling the show at $9.99, aren't we? And I think we've
696
said
is
everything
going to
that
be
needs
our
be
last.
said.
696. We got fucked into submission finally.
What's your
Um,
profanity?
That sounds like a solid recommendation across the board from the Straight Chilling crew, I would say.
Yes.
So check out Dead and Buried. We are going to be spoiling the shit out of this movie, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
All right, Bob. Got that plot synopsis?
I do have
Plop
it,
it.
indeed. Let me
What
plop
percent
it.
of Wikipedia is this?
This is 15%, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know, something like
The
that.
other is the other 85 Chat GPT, I assume.
It is, dude. I've never tried that, and I won't.
Actually,
That's
yeah.
It might not be the worst
Actually,
idea in a pinch. You know?
Say,
Oh yeah, we have this new thing now.
you should do it with Google's AI, so it'll be like
Oh
factually
my
incorrect
God.
top to bottom. Dead and Buried is a musical number featuring Julie Andrews and Claude Monet, and it's very good.
Released in
But-
1975.
You guys didn't watch the right movie, clearly. Come on.
Oh no, is this Demon Knight?
All over again. All right, here we go. Here goes the plot. So, an amateur photographer arrives in the small coastal town of Potter's Bluff. He's taking some pictures on the beach, and a beautiful woman appears and models for him. She propositions him, and when he accepts, a gang of people descend upon him, beating the shit out of him and set him on fire. He ultimately does survive, but the woman, later dressed up as a nurse, kills him in the hospital. Several more visitors are killed by the townsfolk, including a hitchhiker and a family just passing through looking for some gas. With each kill, the murderers take lots of pictures and video footage. Sheriff Dan Gills, assisted by the eccentric town coroner Dobbs, try to solve the murders. Dan becomes increasingly suspicious of his wife when he finds out she visited the photographer before he was killed at the hotel. He also finds a book on witchcraft and a dagger in her desk. Dan
I'm
accidentally
inclined to agree with the man in uniform.
Same. Dan accidentally hits a pedestrian with his police truck and finds a severed, still twitching arm stuck to his grill. The pedestrian grabs the arm and runs off. Dan takes a tissue sample from the grill of his truck and has the doctor analyze it. The doc says the flesh has been dead for several months. Dan then becomes suspicious of Dobbs, the coroner, and runs a background check on him. He finds out Dobbs was a former pathologist who was fired for misusing corpses in Providence, Rhode Island 10 years earlier. Dan confronts Dobbs, who admits he's found a way to reanimate corpses and control them. All the townsfolk are corpses who kill people for Dobbs, so we can reanimate them and grow his little zombie army. Janet appears and is also a corpse. Dan shoots her several times, but she doesn't die. She goes and lays in a grave and asks Dan to bury her. He does, and the rest of the town shows up. Back in the morgue, Dobbs has all of his snuff film footage playing. Dan sees a video of his wife having sex with what he thinks is another man. She stabs him in the back.
like the look of it.
And as the man rolls over, Dan realizes it's himself, and he is also a reanimated corpse. Dan raises his hands, and we see his flesh falling off of his fingers. Dobbs offers to fix him right up. Roll them credits.
While I was blacked out, was anything inserted into me?
Maybe. Maybe not. Happy birthday.
Got a fresh new set of bumps, I see.
Oh yes, yes indeedy. It's my birthday gift to me. Um,
Better than
Yeah,
that
so
bargain bin
spoiled.
friendship.
they're premium bumps, but bargain bin friendships. Um, yeah, no, I mean, like this movie, it just kind of surprised me. Like it starts off with this feeling that I don't know, like maybe it's because the effects are so good and the performances are like while the dialogue is a little stilted, the story is a little bit, I don't know, it doesn't hang together completely. The performances are pretty good, and I was also just psyched to see Grandpa Joe in this movie. I immediately clocked him from his voice, and I don't know, I was just I was just very psyched. I like seeing him. What's his name? Jack Albertson, I believe. Um,
Yeah,
Jack Albertson.
Yeah.
Who's in just a bunch of shit. But I, of course, and I think most people would know him best as Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The secondary, the mini boss of that movie, actually. Yeah, I don't know. I just really had a good time with this. I was having such a hard time with his wife, with the sheriff's
Janet?
wife,
Sheriff's wife.
like
Yeah.
Janet,
Yeah.
because she was like she seemed very natural, like she was playing it very like well, like spy level
Yeah.
well, how she was interacting with him, to the point where I was like, man, like it really kept me guessing as to whether or not she was involved at first until he found the witchcraft book, and I was like, oh, okay. But I like even then it wasn't even close to the whole story, and I did not at all guess the ending of him being also already dead. I had no sign that that was coming personally.
It's like the Sixth Sense. Spoilers.
I think it's a
Yeah.
great twist, and even the way it's revealed, I think it's great with the video playing on the wall. That whole sequence is really cool, and even him lifting it up and seeing his fingers and stuff. That's what like stuck out in my mind. And as it was happening, I was like, oh, like I unfortunately, well, I mean, I had seen it, but like I don't remember. So like as it was playing, I was like, oh my God, he's dead. That's right. When did I see this? But I think yeah, that's a really strong aspect of it. But it also has this kind of like aspect, it's got this kind of goosebumpsy feel to it. This town, this setting, I think the ambience kind of works really well for it, but also to this kind of aspect of the people around you, like can you trust them, and the just kind of the paranoid nature of it all. But then I love how they kind of don't explain it too. He's like, oh, is it witchcraft? It's like, it's spooky, it's a spooky thing. It doesn't need some deep lore so we can have a prequel in 50 years to expound upon it or anything. It's just, a nice self-contained little spooky story. And the mortician kills it. He was like cracking me up a lot. They ham it up. But then when the dude is in the car and screams and he's upside down and he's
Yeah.
supposed to be, but dude,
Oh, yeah.
that's fucked. And then when
It
she
is.
That was a
stab-
great effect.
when she's in the hospital room and he's kind of freaking out, you could only see like his teeth, dude. That's some pretty
Dude.
fucked up shit, man.
He's got no lips.
Yeah.
Those effects, when I was looking up, like before I watched this movie, I put together the graphics for it, right, to promote this episode. So like I got a little bit of some of that stuff, especially the wrapped up bandaged George Mahoyne or whatever his name is, and like the way that thing is, it's just so perfectly round. It's like a little smiley face, but it's like grotesque underneath. It's
Yeah.
fucking great. It's
That's
like
pretty good.
cartoonish in a really great way. And that's
Mhm.
kind of what I take away. You said you compared it to Goosebumps. I kind of see that. I also like this movie, like maybe it's just the color grading and the setting, but it is very much The Mist to me in so many ways.
Mhm.
Not The Mist, excuse me.
The Fog.
Fog.
I
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
With the fog, I was gonna say this makes a double, like a
Great
perfect double
double
feature.
feature,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely, yeah. That's like beachside town,
Yeah.
a horde of enemy dead people essentially. But
Yeah.
this one is more like the paranoia aspect and has some fucking killer effects, man. Like that whole first scene of him like getting down with this girl on the beach or whatever, and then getting like, I don't know, man. Like I just didn't think this is one of those movies that exists from a time where any sort of like surprising things have been done and redone to death.
Yeah.
And so I just don't assume that a movie like this is a fault of mine probably. I don't assume that a movie of this age, of this like this repertoire, is going to be able to surprise me on the level this one did, like a number of times too. I just didn't give it enough credit, and it took advantage of that. I was pretty pleased.
Yeah, it's great that you bring up. So, I mentioned the guy in the car was particularly brutal, but even like you said, everything leading up to it, I think is really well done. She's there, the Yabos come flying, and then
Come flying.
and then, and then just the people, but when they wrap him up in the net and him kind of like
Yeah.
screaming and begging and then them catching on fire, it's a particularly brutal kill, honestly.
It is.
And I guess when you pair that too with then when they finally finish him off with the needle to the eye and like just some other kills in this movie, I think they really bring some creativity to the kills and the setup of the kills. And
Mhm.
I think maybe to pair with that idea, one of maybe my biggest problems with this film, not a problem, but just like something that I wasn't a huge fan of, but I could see could be a positive for this film is kind of like the tone. Sometimes it's really, really goofy. And then like and really stupid things are done, like when they have the kid and they wreck and they go into the house and the dad's like gonna go in the basement and stuff. Sometimes it
Oh,
gets a
yeah.
lot more kind of like silly or just not believable, but then sometimes it's really fucking brutal and like, yeah, so I don't know. I think there's a tone balance there that was bothering me just a little bit. What did y'all have any problem with the general kind of tone balance?
I don't think that
No.
I did, Bob.
No, I didn't notice anything really off or weird with
Okay.
that. There was one inconsistency that I did notice in this movie that did really take me out of it. That I had me like kind of scratching my head regarding the effects. They're all fantastic. They were all done by Stan Winston, excluding one. Come to find out, after I watched the movie, I was looking at the trivia and it kind of explained it. The one kill where they like stick acid like up the dude's nose and his face melts. Did that look like complete garbage to y'all? Did that stand out to y'all?
Not to me. I thought it was cool. Like
Yeah,
it didn't
not
look
really, no.
real, but it looked like to me it was like it was a unique kill. I thought like the concept of it was good. I
Yeah,
thought it looked well enough to carry that forward.
Yeah,
I
me
thought it
too.
looked, I thought it looked really, really bad, honestly.
Oh, really?
But I was reading through the trivia, like I said, and I guess there was two different distributors, like one sold the movie to the other, and this movie also, to kind of touch on the inconsistency of the tone juice. Well, the first one wanted to focus more on comedy, and then the people that bought it were PSO International, and they wanted to focus more on the gore.
Okay.
So they kind of cut some of the jokes out of it and put two more gore sequences in. The first of which,
I think
the
I
first-
probably enjoyed that change though.
probably
I
The-
like
the
it
first.
creates an interesting balance, honestly, I think. Bob, sorry.
The first of the two that they put back in were the drunk fisherman kill where he gets his neck cut. Looks great.
Mhm.
Still done by Stan Winston. The other one that they put in was the dude that got his face melted off by the acid in the nose. And I guess Stan Winston was too busy. They couldn't get him back to do that. So they got some other guy to do that. And it just like, man, it stood
Gotcha.
out in a sea of like great effects in this movie. That one just really didn't do it for me.
That's a
You know, I
bummer
guess
though
if I
too,
s-
because the
sorry.
fisherman one doesn't have much of an impact because they just like kind of cut his throat and stuff. I mean, it does
Yeah.
look good, but as
That
far
seems
as
kind of
like
rushed as
yeah,
it is.
yeah, and it kind of got a little kind of confusing for me too. That I think some of the editing makes the narrative a little confusing sometimes. I'm like confusing people. I was confusing people sometimes, but yeah, I mean, yeah. I didn't notice that, but I'm kind of glad the sequence is there because it's a cool kill. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, outside of
That's the
that,
thing.
we already mentioned like the eyeball stab, which is great. The long sequence, which this is probably the best one, where like they do the whole facial reconstruction, and it's almost like a time lapse
yeah,
of him doing his art or whatever. The severed twitching arm is great. That's like stuck to the grill of the truck.
yeah.
All that works, man. All that's fantastic.
Yeah, there's a lot of like just great like simple makeup stuff in this too, because all the characters by the end are basically crackling and
Mhm.
like his fingers after
Yeah.
having like reburied his wife and stuff like that. That's such a great thing to close on. I guess if you do stack them up like apples to apples, probably the acid like just on a sheer visual effects level probably is a little bit lacking, but like I think it's like I would rather have that than the fisherman getting his throat cut because it is more unique. It stuck out to me as more
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah.
And definitely
Even
prefer
if the
more to
effect wasn't
more
perfect.
jokes. I don't think the jokes were killing it for me in this movie.
I liked a lot of the jokes, but I think that it hit the right number of jokes while still because the scary shit is brutal in this. There's some visceral shit going on that like burning a man alive right out of the gate really set a tone.
Yeah.
But also like the silly like goofiness that's happening throughout this movie, I don't know, like somehow it meshed really nicely to me.
Mhm.
And I think that if they had gone harder on the jokes or less hard on the effects or something like that, it would have like thrown it completely out of whack. It's just at a precarious balance for me.
This is a weird instance of studio interference actually, I think, making the
Yeah.
movie from my perception better. So
Yeah, that's true.
that's kind of weird.
That is
Hallelujah.
very weird.
We don't get that a lot. Yeah.
Every once in a while, you'll get one.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. Yeah.
Well, praise where praise is due.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as far as like plot and all that sort of thing, like if you interrogate this too closely, it starts to fall apart. And like
Like a
normally that would be a bigger
corpse.
like a corpse. Normally that would be a bigger ding for me, but like it just keeps me going. Like seeing the banter between the sheriff and the mortician, like that shit's
Mhm.
kind of fun. Like he's already like a kooky zany motherfucker to begin with, that mortician, talking about like I just want to I want to work my artistry on her, Charlie. And she's like,
Yeah,
he's
talking
like,
about the
"It's two
closed
dead
casket.
people, Doc. What are
Yeah.
you talking about?" Yeah, it's like, nobody's gonna care. Just let me fix her up and all this. I don't know. That shit's just very funny to me and stupid. But also like one thing that is great about the narrative, which I've already talked about, is just like how surprising it is, and like the for example, when they burn the guy alive, the lady who burns him with sets the match. You know what I mean? She is. It turns out, like I see this and I think like Mrs. Carmody. I think like religious zealot cult leader sort of thing. Like she's the head of this somehow, or at least a high enforcer. But immediately that's kind of cut down because we see the sheriff getting his cup of coffee from her, and she seems completely chill or whatever. But like, she doesn't seem like she has any special like power over anybody in this environment. Even yeah, I don't know. Like, so I was like, wow, what's going on here? And I just kept guessing and not really getting it right. It seems like it follows a train of thought that is maybe unknowable because it's so insane and like not formed, or it's just like they just conceal their tracks well enough. And I guess I kind of give it both credit for both.
Yeah. It's kind of like a sneaky voodoo movie, like Haitian zombie style movie with
Yeah.
like you don't really know exactly what he's doing, but they find the witchcraft book, and I think he does specifically mention voodoo briefly when he's sort of given his evil mastermind speech towards the end in the morgue there.
I
So
think
it's
it
kinda
was
like
written on the
sneaky-
board too, the
Was it?
teacher sequence. I
Yeah.
think it was like in the background. So yeah,
That's
there's like
right.
little hints of stuff like
Voodooism
that.
or
Yeah.
something.
Her
Well, the witchcraft book is not
lecture
subtle.
Well,
No.
And like by then, yeah, her lecture. Go ahead, Bob. You
is
were ramping us up.
hilarious. These kids, I mean, I guess the kids are like zombies too. I don't know. But like she's going so hard on like how you gotta cut the heart out and like keep it hidden in order to control the
they're
corpses. Like,
small children.
they're tiny. Yeah, these kids are just like, okay, fucking, I'm gonna ace this test. All right.
It was the
Wild
80s,
shit.
man,
Different time, brother.
Yeah, it was.
Kids were just built different.
Kids were drinking out of the hose and burning people alive. Just a different time.
Drinking
out of them hose. Damn.
Drinking out right out of them hose.
Do you get paid more if they do stuff to your butt?
I never
yeah, like
really had a problem drinking milk because I drank it from the hose.
Damn.
okay.
Well hydrated. Bob's got
Rob's
strong
always ruining
bones.
this.
Amen.
So I will say, when I was talking about the tone balance, I think the best spots of comedy and levity definitely come from the mortician. I think it's because of his performance. Like, he's really selling it. It fits that character really well, and they open him up perfectly too, which is fun to think about later in the aspect when everybody's dead. But the way he's playing with his kind of teasing his helper or whatever when the sheriff comes in and he's talking about where him selling weed and where he's hiding the weed and stuff like that. Like that was just a fun kind of introduction to this character, and I think that he sells the levity. I think maybe some of the other performances, or maybe the way it's edited, or just I don't know, generally set up, maybe feels like lacking in that way where like people can't carry that tone well or something. I don't know, but I did want to point out that my favorite points of levity and some like the jokes and stuff were coming from the Mortician. I really love that character.
Yeah, it's definitely the most I don't know. He's the easiest character to fall in love with, in my opinion, because he's just so wackadoo. Like, it's even setting aside like my affinity for the actor from other things, like he just does a fun job. Like he's a good character actor doing like this like pompous windbag of a mortician to start, and then you find out that that's a caustic feature of his. Like that is not just a smugness. He is fucking conflating. I don't know. Like he's like, you can't kill me. You can only make me dead. That line is fucking hilarious to me. It's so stupid and so like smug monologuing villain. It just works, man. It just works. Like I don't think there's a scene with that actor that doesn't shine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, like, yeah, if you like the thing that doesn't work with this movie to me, like narratively, is like all the characters, I think, like especially like our lead, the sheriff, he's just like I understand that they make him conflicted because what the prime suspect for the bulk of the runtime is probably his wife. But it like he overlooks a lot. Like he glosses a lot, not just in regard to her, but in regard to a bunch of stuff. Like at a certain point, like when you see an arm flailing and a guy get up, grab it, and run away. I mean, I understand broaching a topic delicately, but he's acting like, no, I must be crazy. And like, no, dog, you saw it. Like you can investigate that. You can be straightforward about that. And so the decision making, it's that like a lot of like little decisions that the characters make just don't seem to make a lot of sense. And that's, a classic failing of a lot of like lower end horror.
Something
so
that
it's got a lot of that.
I was a little bit confused, and it doesn't really matter that much, honestly, but if everybody is a corpse, and it seems like they, for the vast majority of them anyways, everybody with the exception of Dan, the sheriff, is basically like a slave to Dobbs, like a slave to his will. They do what he wants them to do, what he tells them to do, or whatever. And he does say that he gives Janet, the sheriff's wife, like more of her emotions back than the rest of them, because he really liked the sheriff and like wanted to, I guess, give him a proper wife or something. So I guess he just gave like Dan like everything to see if he could figure it out for funsies or something. I don't know why he has like free will when nobody else does.
Yeah, and they cover their tracks kind of with that of being like, I'm not gonna explain everything, and that's okay, but yeah, it doesn't really make sense, but yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like,
you need a movie.
He describes Janet as his artwork, like she's a masterpiece. But then he's talking to his masterpiece. Really, this is the person that actually can defy you in some way, or try to anyway. You've given him enough of that back. But I like, just generally, like, just on a nuts and bolts level, I really like the way that the possessed or whatever, like the corpses, they behave, because they are completely naturalistic and like they were in life, up to the point where the person who's controlling them allows them to be. They're not like brainless. They're not like aliens trying to understand how to work amongst humans. They're not shambling, wordless creatures. They're like just your regular folks. Like they're more like spies than anything else, which I don't know. I don't know if maybe there was some intentionality to that, but that's just what it felt like. It felt more like overt and interesting to me.
Yeah.
I like the idea that this maybe it takes a little bit out of it, but like, I don't know. I keep coming back to this kind of like kid idea of like, you're in this small town and everybody's dead, everybody could get you. But then I guess the thing about it is, when you like kind of like really analyze it, Not from the so from the perspective of, the first photographer, the family, there is real danger. But when I guess if you go back and look at this, there's no real danger for the sheriff.
Yeah, he's already
And
dead. Yeah.
yeah, so if he was maybe the last remaining person alive in this town, that I don't,
Yeah.
maybe that would make it feel like there was maybe some more stakes or something going on, or
Maybe
I don't know.
maybe Dobbs gave him like free will and all of his emotions and whatnot because he wanted to be found out, because he wanted desperately to turn himself into a zombie and didn't want to like kill himself. Maybe.
Maybe he has to die at the
Perhaps.
hands of someone. But how do you like
Yeah.
resurrect yourself? Are you a
Yourself,
slave
yeah.
to yourself? Like I don't like we don't get the information on that. But like
Yeah.
I think script doctor in me, like as if I have any
Oh.
capabilities.
Randy.
But like I feel the same way about him not knowing, or about him like thinking he was the last guy alive or whatever. I think you could have had it both ways, honestly, where at a certain point he like sort of like Janet convinces him that she's not worth suspecting. She like just like they have a come to Jesus moment, man, I'm going crazy, baby. I'm sorry, whatever. And then
Oh,
they bang it
baby.
out and they hard cut away to the next day or whatever. And we only later find out that what was cut away from was the murder
When
of
she
him.
killed him.
And
That's a good
when
call.
she killed him. And then yeah, so that like he's like, oh
So
shit,
half
like
the
you
movie
still
he
get the same reveal.
was, yeah,
Right.
alive. Yeah.
So like the danger would have been real, and like I don't know. To me, it feels like everything of consequence happens. Not everything. Most things of consequence happen off camera or before we even meet anybody in this town or whatever. I just feel like that could have like brought our point of view character a little more legitimacy, or a little bit
That's a
something
good
a little bit more to hang your
suggestion.
hat on.
Because you could even do a slight subtle character shift at that point. Like you said, like maybe he
Yeah.
really is on the trail to his wife, or he's like getting close. And then after that scene, he's not really pursuing her anymore, or something like that. He's not, like a subtle. And then once you know the
Yeah.
twist, then you're like, oh, yeah, that's why,
Yeah, or he just like forgets
Yeah.
something. He's like, how did I forget? Like he forgets to pick up the reel. He's like, how did I forget
Yeah,
that? Or I don't know,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Like
That would be
I guess
good.
that
yeah.
that was a reel of the murder, so that wouldn't work. But something like that. I
Cool.
feel like there's something that you could be done there. And it's a minor change that I think just makes it feel like we see the whole journey instead of a fraction of it.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that would have made the ending scene, which is very impactful and definitely the best part of the movie, even more impactful if you knew that he was alive and like had a chance to get out, but then
Yeah.
he got by Janet. Yeah, I love the ending sequence as far as like scenes in movies that take place in a morgue. That's gotta be one of the best, I think, with like all
Yeah.
the snuff footage like playing all over
Dude,
the walls.
It's
and
so cool.
it's badass.
I don't know if you guys. I don't think you have, Bob, but Justin, you never played a game called The Suffering, did you? It was a
I did,
PlayStation
yeah.
2 game. You did. So you remember like the psychiatrist at the asylum there? He was like a
Yeah, similar.
it's like ghostly figures, right? He was like projected like a projector. It was like a Pepper's Ghost effect
Ooh.
sort of looking thing. But also when you actually like fight him or like fight in his lair or whatever, there's just all these like projectors going in this like gothic ass fucking psychiatric ward. That's what this reminded me of, and I really love that. I kind of feel like that game had to have taken some cues from this. I feel like there's a real reasonable chance of that.
Yeah. That sounds way too
It's-
close. That's badass, man. I love the ending sequence. With all the zombies showing up and like Janet's face starts falling off. She kind
Mhm.
of when in that scene where she kind of just starts repeating herself, it gave me like a Stepford Wives kind of vibe in that moment.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good comparison. Actually,
That's a
this
good
is kind of
call,
like
yeah.
halfway between Stepford Wives and The Fog or something.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
kind of.
It's actually funny. What it reminded me of was the one of the first bosses in the first BioShock game, Steinbeck. He's a
Mhm.
doctor in Rapture that goes crazy because he's like only making everything perfect, and then he like goes like starts wanting things to be unperfect. But anyways, a similar kind of
Mhm.
thing of like obsessed with the work. So it's maybe this film actually inspired a lot of stuff in that way.
I mean,
yeah.
yes, but also like in fairness, like the doctor going insane. Like that's, I mean, Frankenstein for one. Like it's not like there's no precedent at all for that. But like the visual style of it with the projectors in particular is what made me think of The Suffering. I could see the correlation between that as well, because it's about the attitude of being like, and I guess that's kind of true of Frankenstein too. It's like the thinking you're God, thinking of like understanding you understand perfection better than anyone. You can create perfection. And in this guy's case,
People
he
are
sees himself
art.
as an
Yeah.
artist.
Yeah.
Like, and in fairness, this like this mortician in this movie, he makes him look so real that even if they have fucking like, golf balls for eyes or whatever, people can't tell even when they're face to face. They look like people. So I mean, it's hard to argue with results.
I like when he's going on a spiel about talking about replacing the eyes and this filling it with sawdust and stuff like that. It would have been cool if he like attacked somebody and some sawdust kind of spurted out at one point.
That would have been cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a missed opportunity for sure.
Yeah.
There was a
I
really
could see this movie being remade nicely, which is a shock
Could
to
be.
hear me say.
Yeah. Yeah.
there was a brief moment where the sheriff walks into the morgue and it's sort of like in the middle of the movie, and he sees a younger kid like painting his skin tone back on his body. So like there's little like hints at what's really going on that I think really work. Maybe more of that would have amped it up. But I
Yeah.
really liked that moment.
I thought
Dobbs,
that was oh, sorry. Go ahead.
to add to that, Dobbs sleeping in one of like the corpse refrigerators too. Like there's little
Dude, that blew my fucking
moments.
dick off because I did not suspect him really. Like I thought and I think the movie was intentionally leading me down this path, which good on it for misleading me correctly. But like I thought it was leading you to believe that his assistant, the weed kid, the kid who's at all the murders taking photos, like he's at all this stuff. He's involved, and he also is an apprentice mortician
Yeah.
who theoretically would know how to do similar stuff to Dobbs. And so I assumed that he was working for Janet, and Janet was kind of like the big bad, and like it was pretty clearly setting her up for that. And I was like, there might be a subversion here, but I don't know. It might not be that heady of a movie. And if it is her, then he's probably the one that's like setting these corpses up to look real. That Dobbs just leaves the room after he's done fixing up the one that we see him fix, and somebody walks up to it. So it's not like he leaves corpses unattended and shit. It wouldn't be hard for an apprentice to get his hands on these corpses or like switch them out or whatever.
Got to get my hands on these corpses.
I got on these corpses. Yes,
Got to do it.
Inhuman monster!
Damn. I also like the ending sequence where speaking of like making the bodies up or whatever, like when Dobbs starts putting the makeup on his own face and it's like all kind of fucked up because he's dying, he's kind of in a bit of a hurry or whatever.
Yeah, he looks like Frank Reynolds at the beauty
Oh
pageant.
my God.
Damn.
Don't diddle kids. You shouldn't diddle kids.
It's no good diddly kid.
They're gonna go to their dress room over there. I'm going to my dead air. Oh my
shit.
God, that episode is hilarious.
That is.
It
so
always
funny.
comes back to Sunny.
It
Every time.
always does.
It
Dude, when he
does,
comes
that's
out with
true.
that mega.
It's so fucking ridiculous.
God damn.
But yeah, man, I don't know. Like this
Yeah.
movie's just kind of like surprising. It managed to surprise me, even with like a flawed, I would say, plot
Yeah.
or narrative structure or whatever. Even with some characters that are hard to follow because they're acting like not right. You know what I mean? They're acting in a
Yeah.
way that seems like making bad decisions. They're doing all that stuff, but the charisma of Dobbs and I don't know. It's great.
The Riz.
It's weird that there's so much like positive about this. Like when I go down my list, there's a lot of positive about it, but then also maybe this is part of it, but it's easy to see how it could be like so much better as well. So it feels more middling than when you're actually describing it. I don't know. Like when I go like beat for beat, I'm like, yeah, it was good. I too was engaged and like had a good time with it and was surprised and thought some of the kills were really brutal and stuff. But then like my overall feeling about it is more like, yeah, it's like a middle kind of movie, and maybe it's just because like it's got a lot more potential. I don't know. I got this weird feeling about it.
I kind of feel that. Like it's not that it's I think it's an expectation thing for me anyway. I just wasn't expecting it to be as
Yeah.
engaging as it is, and it is. So like I'm like, great, like I feel positively about that. And then like listing all the things that made me feel positive about it and that I was surprised to see were so good, it kind of just offsets a lot of like the stuff that just feels like it's more than the sum of its parts somehow. But I don't know, like it just doesn't, it's not a perfect movie by any means. Like
No.
but I still have a hard time pinpointing things that I don't like because I was really transfixed by the things that I was surprised to like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way generally. I really like this movie, but it's, yeah, you could see maybe it's because they couldn't like decide out the gate the tone they wanted, so they like cut and recut and
I think
reshaped
so.
and
The editing,
so maybe it feels a little bit like janky. It doesn't totally flow. Maybe it feels a little awkward,
some of the
but
performances too are definitely lacking.
yeah.
The family sticks out to me
Yeah,
as
for sure.
being like very like, and maybe part of it's the outfits, but they're very like 70s TV actors feeling to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kid coming in, I want some ice cream. It's like,
Shut
Yeah.
up.
ah,
I liked the scene when they were in the house where like everybody shows up and then they start like walking after them down the street and it's sort of this
slowly.
backlit. Yeah, it felt like like Night of the Living Dead or something in that moment. I really
Yeah,
that
liked
was just
that sequence.
that was the pinnacle of feeling like it was the fog to me. Like
Yeah.
that moment, like it just really felt like the fog then.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Um,
I really like the score of this too, actually. It's got this really slow, melodic kind of floating vibe that sort of
Actually,
it re-
yeah.
it fits the tone of like a sleepy seaside town so perfectly. I really, really liked it.
It reminded me actually of like
The time that has
like
passed.
Japanese,
simpler
yeah,
time.
a simpler time, yes. No, it reminded me of like Japanese scoring, you know, like I made me think of like Hausu or something like that, or like I don't know, like just very like it's like pleasant melody, piano music for a lot of it, but then like when you get down to business, I honestly like I'm bad at like taking note of the score of a movie. I'm just really not. I just don't think of it a lot of the time. And in this one, like usually that's not a bad thing because that means I'm focused on other things that are cool and it's working well enough. And there was not a lot of like friction there. I thought that though, that it felt like in the calm moments, especially at the beginning, where like sort of piano melodic, it felt like too serene. You know what I mean? Like it was almost like a pastiche of like serene seaside town. And I don't know how much of that is just datedness factoring in or like an intentional choice, but either way it was a great tone setter. It made this movie feel like, you compared it to like a Goosebumps or something, it feels like a just a spooky Are You Afraid of the Dark like anthology story. It's just a campfire tale that's got great effects and some funny characters and some interesting twists and turns that I never anticipated. So like, I don't know what's not to like about that. It's sometimes simple is better, and I feel like this movie could have harmed itself by being more intricate.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other major points you guys want to make before we rate this thing?
Nah.
Nah. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into it. Juice, why don't you kick us off? Out of 5, how do you feel about Dead and Buried?
Yeah, I generally feel positive about this. I think it's just the things I said before. I like the setting. I like most of the kills and the effects that go along with those. I like the reveal at the end. I like just the general overall vibes. And I like the kind of silliness and goofiness that specifically comes from Dobbs, right? The mortician. So yeah, all that I like. I guess the negative aspects or just the lacking aspects are some of the acting, the narrative. Yeah, it's there are things, too. There's this book on witchcraft, her kind of ridiculous spiel at the school. It's just certain aspects that definitely do feel like too simplistic or silly, or like maybe from a different type of movie that's maybe more geared towards kids. And maybe that was it. It was just like maybe some things felt like not adult enough or not matching in similar kind of ways. I do think some of the editing is weird, and this kind of like shift in ideas or expectations of like what the movie should be, I think definitely could played into my feeling this way. Um, but yeah, overall, I had a good time watching it. And so I think I'm going to put it at a 3.25 plus. We're going to bring in those half star for the Yabos. So we are going to end it at a 3.75, which is a pretty high score. And I think good
That
for
is a
this
very high
kind of
score,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Yabos, they carry a lot of weight. So
A
Bob.
half a star.
No, other way around. I think the person with the Yabos carries the weight.
Ayo.
Bob, out of 5, where are you gonna rate Dead and Buried?
Yeah, I dig this movie. Something about it, maybe because it reminds me so much of The Fog, and I fucking love The Fog so much. I'm just like very, very endeared to this movie. I love movies that are like sleepy seaside towns, like The Mutilator and Humanoids from the Deep, The Fog, obviously, Dagon, things like that. Jaws, even fucking Jaws. I just love that shit. I love the vibe, the small little town, the tight knit community. Also feels it like you said. You mentioned The Mist, Randy, actually, and it kind of has that Stephen King kind of community vibe a little bit going on here. I like that it's kind of a sneaky voodoo movie too, a sneaky zombie movie. The score I already mentioned. I think most the major players here are doing a really good job. Janet kills it. Like you like oddly do kind of want to believe her, even though there's like this mountain of evidence against her. That's like something's there's way too much smoke here. There's got to be fire somewhere. And Dan does a great job. Dobbs is quirky enough. I think he could have been more quirky actually, but I think he does a good job too. There's some inconsistencies with the tone and the plot, and like maybe the movie doesn't flow totally well, but the ending, man, the payoff is there. So like I think the juice is totally worth the squeeze at the end of the day on this one. I love that big like morgue sequence where Janet gets shot. He buries her slowly by hand, and then the town shows up behind him, and then all this snuff footage is swirling around. It's like a great little cherry on top. Great way to end this movie. I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. Randy, how do you feel?
Yeah, pretty similarly. I think I've said the bulk of what I would say in this segment, which is just that it was surprising to me that a movie that seems like it should be operating on a lower level was operating on such a high level in so many different categories, like the effects, some of the characterizations, at least of Dobbs, and the charisma there, and some of the sets and settings were like that was all good. The audio, the scoring, as Rob pointed out, was good. Like, there's a lot to like about this movie, and it would be very easy to tell this story in a lackluster way, and I think they do a great job with it. So, I mean, all things considered, and that does consider that, like, yeah, why does Dobbs go through all this trouble? What's his what like, is it like, I would love to know a little bit more about his state of mind. Like, we know he thinks he's an artist and that blah blah blah, but like, you want to kill yourself, have somebody kill you so that you can come back and be your own slave? What is this? Why are we doing this exactly? Yeah, the nuts and bolts, but ultimately they don't matter because this is just a little campfire tale that doesn't need that as much as it needs you to feel suspicious, and like anybody could be involved with this, or maybe everybody, and everybody ends up including the only protagonist you got. So I don't know. I like this movie a lot. I think I'm going to echo Bob's 3.5. I feel like this is one that I would rewatch as a summer, or maybe like summer leading into fall watch, because to me this doesn't look like a hot beach town or anything like that. It seems more like a coastal Maine town or something like that. Like, that's just how it strikes me. I don't know if they said anything to the contrary, but or like like maybe Northern California or something like that. Yeah, 3.5 for me. I don't know what else to say. It's just an enjoyable movie, simple and to the point.
Solid. Well, that's going to put our aggregate at a 3.6. Not bad at all.
Nope.
As per usual, whenever you guys get a You Pick the Flick We encourage you to send over an email or a voicemail with your own thoughts and ratings on the movie that you chose for us to review. And G Baby did oblige. He sent over a voicemail. So let's hear what he's got to say real quick.
Hey, chillin' crew and fellow children. It's G Baby here. So Dead and Buried from 1981 is my U pick this go round. It's a flick that I've seen pretty recently, say in the past 5 years or so, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. It's not talked about much, and thought it deserves a little more attention. So we got some heavy hitters in here with a couple of late greats: Stan Winston on effects, writer Dan O'Bannon of Alien, Return of the Living Dead fame. Even got old Grandpa Joe from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's ass out of bed embalming folks. To me, it's got some Carpenter vibes, maybe even shades of Stuart Gordon, Reanimator, what with all the reanimating going on. It's very Fog-esque. It feels to me kind of like if you rolled up Halloween 3, The Fog, and maybe a less cerebral Wicker Man. Maybe even a little hint of House of Wax in there. It's got a fun cult aspect that isn't spoon-fed. You drift right into like a sense of paranoia alongside our straight man and Sheriff Dan. We follow him and discover what's going on in Potter's Bluff right alongside him rather than having a ton of exposition. We got great practical effects that still hold up, in my opinion. Homeboy with no lips and the syringe through the eye. The arm in the grill of the truck that's still animated is fucking awesome. Couple mortician scenes. I mean, this one won't blow your nuts sky high, but you'll get blistered. At least I did. So anyway, thanks for indulging me on this one. I think I'm 0 for 4 on U picks, so I'm due. Hope you guys enjoyed it and all the other children enjoyed it. And last thing, little birdie told me it was Randy Gandy G Landy's birthday here coming up, so let us all rejoice in the Church of Randu. Happy birthday, Randy, and keep chilling.
Oh, I might have cut that off early. Hold on one second.
Happy birthday, Randy, and keep chilling. Randu.
I'm glad I went back. That was great.
Thank you.
That was great.
I
Really
think in less
appreciate
than
that
3
shout-out.
minutes, G Baby covered this film better than we did.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah, man, he kind
I
of
think he
nailed
killed
it.
it.
Those pretty good comparisons there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you definitely got your 1 out of 4 and 1 out of 5 now.
There you
So,
go.
I wanted to
congrats.
address that real quick. I went back and looked at
Do
G
it.
Baby's other picks because I was like, damn, do we shit on like every of his other picks? Not necessarily. So I think I remember his fondly because I like them all, and you guys I think typically don't.
Yeah. The
Um,
Innkeepers, right? That was one of
so
his.
I'll do them in order. So 214, The Frighteners. None of us like
No, the
that. To be fair.
Frighteners, yeah.
That was in May of 2019. Got a 1.5. Not so
Oh
good.
no.
Next up, 223, The Innkeepers. That was July of 2019. That got a 3.5. I call that a win. 70%.
Yeah,
It's close to this
That's
one, yeah. So if you
point
didn't think
one
that
away
one,
from
yeah.
I'd call
Yeah.
that a win. I think that's the only.
we were
win of these
probably.
four.
I think
we probably
anything,
didn't talk
yeah.
about it too glowingly though, because I
No,
mean,
maybe.
I fucking love them. I ride for the Innkeepers. Next up, 253, The Being from February 2020.
You did love all of these,
yeah.
Bob. Dang.
I love The Being.
Bob loved the Being.
It
Mhm.
got a 2.25, so I'd probably not a
Wasn't
win
that the one where
overall.
you gave it like a 4.5 though? We
I
gave it
think I
really
did, yeah.
low. Yeah.
I gave it
holy
really
shit.
high. It's a great Easter movie. If you haven't seen The Being, check it out
Ooh,
on
man.
Easter. It fucking rules.
I rated that lower than I remembered. Okay.
We
Go
did not
ahead.
like that.
And then number 4, episode 314, Blood Diner from April
no.
2021. Again, I love Blood Diner. I love all these movies, but The Frighteners.
Oh man.
It got a 1.75. Not great.
Oh boy. Yeah, G
Not
No,
Baby.
yeah, that one wasn't for
This
me.
is for me, yeah, this is definitely the best pick, G Babies.
Yeah, and this
This,
does with a 3.6. Yeah, it's the top of the heap for the G Baby picks. I'd call that two for
I would
five.
say
though.
2 for 5. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Not
And honestly, like
score-wise.
honestly, like aside from the Innkeepers, they all feel like they they're cohesive together somehow.
I,
you know what
I
mean?
agree.
Yeah.
G baby picks. Yeah. Older,
Yeah, so
slightly
A little
brutal in some
obscure.
ways, slightly goofy
a
in
little
some
obscure,
ways.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I appreciate that honestly. Even if I don't,
Yeah.
even the ones I don't like, I'm happy to like see movies that that just don't get the play that they used
Yeah.
to, or that people that I wouldn't have known otherwise. Like this hit fits right in that category. Joe Bob might have done it. I didn't know that, but like otherwise,
Maybe
I don't
that's
know
where
that I
I
would have ever
saw
come
it,
across
honestly.
this.
Maybe I was
That's possible.
maybe it was when I was in Florida and I caught a Joe Bob. I don't know.
Maybe. Could be.
Possible.
Very possible.
That
But
would
yeah,
explain why you remember only fractions of it.
Yeah, that would explain that.
Regardless, thanks for the you pick G baby. Thanks for just supporting us over the years, man. You're a true ride or die, whether we shit on your movies or not, man. You're
Thanks
a
for
ride or
keep
die.
trying, G baby.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do
man.
appreciate it. We really do.
Very much.
Cool. Well, let's go and jump over to our Rotten Tomatoes segment, see what the critics and users think about Dead and Buried.
All right, boys and girls, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment in which I'm going to have these two gents guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate positive score is on RottenTomatoes.com for both critics and users. We're going to start as we always do with the critics. There are 19, only 19 here. There's a little bit older movie, a little bit of an older movie, a little bit obscure as we mentioned. So the numbers here aren't going to be big in terms of number of aggregated scores. So there's 19 in the critics category. I'm going to start with Bob today. Bob, out of those 19 reviews, what percentage would you wager are positive scores?
Ooh, I don't know. This is a weird one, man. Like, who even is writing this? Is it just like horror websites?
Not
I don't know.
us.
Yeah. I'm gonna go. I think it's above 50. I'll just take the comedy number 69.
69. All right.
69, dudes!
Very cool. Juice, do you have a comedy number or some other number?
Well, I'm gonna try to keep it close to the fives because I mean we almost have 20 reviews. So I think I'll take the under on this one and say 60.
60. All right. Well, gentlemen, I do have some good news. One of you is just a single percentage point away from glory here. All right. This movie on RottenTomatoes.com has an aggregate positive score that equates to 68%. Bob's going to take this one with
Whoa.
just a dick hair away from glory there.
Oh yes, victory is sweet.
That sweet 69, Bob. Finally got you what you need.
Oh
Yeah.
God, I needed it. Thanks for
See,
the
if we were on
build up,
sorry.
Randy. The suspense.
Oh yeah, you know.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
I learned something from reality TV. We should have put a commercial break right in between those. But yeah, if only we were on fucking Rotten Tomatoes, we could amp this up to the comedy number ourselves. But
I
no.
don't think that's how percentages work, but okay.
It's an average. It's a positive score added.
Well, it wouldn't go down, Juice. Come
Wow.
on.
That's
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
Well,
That's right.
Well.
Well,
Wow.
all right. Now we're going to jump over to the audience score. There are 5,000 plus ratings in the audience category here, and we're going to go in reverse order. Juice, out of those 5,000 plus ratings, what percentage are positive ratings?
I think this one's gonna be a little bit lower, but that's a decent sample size. But I think it's gonna be close. I'll say 62.
62. All right. Bob, how about you?
I think I'm gonna go in the opposite direction, actually. I think it might be a touch higher, perhaps. This seems to be a bit of a cult movie. You know, there's a little bit of steam around it. It's a little steamy. I'll take a 72.
72. So we got a 62 and a 72 here. Well, I'll tell you, boys, one of you is 3 percentage points away. So we've got still some closeness here. So out of those 5,000 plus user ratings, I'm going to go ahead and say verbally with my mouth using audio cues
And a word from our sponsor.
that Yes. Dun, 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 tsh, dun, dun, dun. Sorry.
Do you need to trim your ball hair? Well, I got ball hair trimmer you need, okay?
Okay. That is our audience. All right. The correct answer is 59%. 59% is going to mean Juice is going to take this one. We got to split a hair here.
We got to
Splitting
split a hair
a
here.
hair?
That's not, I guess that's misleading. I'm
I
saying
don't
we
know.
split. You guys split. One of you won each category.
yes.
Each of you
Like,
went
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
It's like, was
I don't
it
know what I'm talking about
closer?
either.
Well, that is
Bullshit luck.
for like, I don't know, maybe the third week. I'd have to go back, third or fourth week in a row. We just got a hell skeeting yeet
The skeet and yeet. It's
in
what
the right
people
order
want.
again.
I know.
You guys have been coming at this all wrong. You should have been a tag team this whole time.
The old
are.
skeeting yeet.
That's
your
our
special move.
our wrestling lineage. We started as enemies, but now we're a tag team.
There you go.
Hell,
Team Skeet.
Some hell to pay here.
Yeah.
that's right.
When Bob does his signature move, he does the hell skeet chant, and I do the hell yeet chant, you know?
It works
Oh.
perfect. You guys made for each other. Let's do as we
Fantastic.
always
We're
let's do as we always do now and read.
the
we
lore
are
goes
wrestlers.
deeper.
Oh my god. All right, let's read some negative reviews off the turnbuckle here.
That's gonna be part of straight chilling trivia right there. What's Bob and Juice's tag team wrestling tag
What's-
team?
This is the
What are they called?
freebie trivia answer. Yeah. All right. Let's read some negative reviews from the critic section. Here's one. The film rushes into self-immolation.
What?
I mean, technically,
LOL.
yes. Like, I don't. Yeah, it's fucking Dead and Buried is burning alive into theaters. I don't get it.
Damn.
Thanks to Stan Winston's makeup effects, the bloodshed is one of the more redeeming qualities. I mean, that's like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
Very backhanded, I would say. Yeah, there's only one more. Oh wait, no. There's two more negative reviews. I'm just gonna read one because the other one is dull, and this one probably is too. While the technical aspects of the movie are brilliant, the central idea is executed poorly. Full review in Spanish.
Mm.
Well, Randy, read the
that
Spanish.
last part really hits me hard. Yeah, no, there is no full review and there is no Spanish.
Oh,
That's all
great.
there is.
Fantastic.
Lies.
It's yeah. It's
There is no full review.
it's all a house of cards here, guys, and it's falling apart.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's it for Rotten Tomatoes. I think there's really just not a lot of hay to be made there.
Yeah.
So Bob, did you cover all the trivia, or you want to do a little bit more?
I got a little bit more. Let's go ahead and get into it.
It's totally time for trivia.
All right, boys, just a few more points. This was included on the UK's video nasty list in the 1980s. It was banned in the UK.
No.
Couldn't watch it. Your ass, I can't remember if it would go as far as you would get arrested if you own this. You would at least get a fine, I know. I can't remember how crazy they got
Yeah.
with it.
Bunch of
But,
feather
could get
bottoms
arrested, I
over
wanna say.
there.
Could you imagine having this on VHS and like having to pay like a fine because it was
I'd
banned?
probably just hide it. I mean, who's coming to look for some VHSs? I don't know, what the
man.
I just assumed it was
They
one of those
have
things where like you couldn't buy it in stores or whatever.
I don't know, man. Maybe they were searching your,
don't think they were.
teenager's mattress for dirty videos.
I don't think so.
They probably were. So
I think that's more like if they catch you buying it. It's like the war on drugs, except they learned when to call it quits. So
the war on
Lies.
Dead and Buried. So all the advertisements, all the posters, like everything you see, like very loudly boasts this is from the creators of Alien. Like it says it on the box and
Mm.
everywhere. So Dan O'Bannon did not write this movie, and like he loudly says so. So it was definitively written by Ron Shusett. So in 1983, there was an interview where Dan O'Bannon was promoting Blue Thunder, and he full on disowned Dead and Buried. He claimed that Ronald Shusett had actually written it all by himself. He needed O'Bannon's name on the project, promising he would implement some of O'Bannon's changes. Upon seeing the finished film, O'Bannon realized that Shusett hadn't included his material, but it was too late for him to take his name off the credits
Oh, shit.
at that time. So he really didn't have much of
Mm.
anything to do with it at the end of the day.
Damn. All right.
That's interesting. Yeah, well, I don't know. Dan O'Bannon's got plenty
Yeah,
in
he's
his
fine.
repertoire to get on
Yeah.
with. He's fine.
And luckily, this movie
Um,
doesn't totally blow. So, like, if you're sold on it because
Yeah,
you
that's the
think
thing.
Dan O'Bannon wrote it, it's still good. So,
It kind of I have nothing to support this, but it kind of feels like maybe a little like sour grapes for just how it panned out. Like, oh, they
Maybe.
didn't use enough.
Yeah,
of his
somebody was going to
ideas
use
feel
my
like it was
name
worth
and
it.
said like, "Oh, I'm gonna
I mean,
do
yeah.
something." I mean, sure. Yeah.
But also, we're taking that from his word. We don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
I
true.
don't know.
Yeah.
Like, there's a
He
lot of
said,
egos
she
involved with
said.
this shit. So
He
Who
said.
knows?
He said.
right. This is the last bit I have here. Due to child labor laws, the filmmakers could not get permission to use the boys who played Jamie at night because the kid's entire part took place at night. So they put a huge tent, which completely covered the family's car and the haunted house that the family runs into, trying to make it look like it was nighttime
Wow.
underneath it. And to properly ventilate inside the tent so that the cast and crew could breathe, fans were set up. But they made so much noise that the live sound that was recording during the film was unusable. So all those scenes had to be dubbed by the actors and actresses in post-production. This is why
Hmm.
Nancy Locke's mouth is frequently moving in that scene when she's not even talking.
Okay,
What a
that made
I did
pain.
notice that.
dude. Yeah, fuck that. Everything about
Fuck
what
them
they just-
kids.
I
But
don't know,
also,
like-
to maybe that's why that scene in particular feels like the roughest to me.
Maybe.
It does.
Yeah.
It feels the roughest to me because, and I think it's because the performances became stilted because they didn't have their natural performances.
Could be.
To
yeah.
me, like it's bad. If it's bad ADR, that can fuck up a scene badly. But
Yeah.
I will say that, like, visually, I could not have told you that they
Visually,
were
it
in a tent,
doesn't-
and it
yeah.
kind of like visually, like that makes me think it was like it felt like it was in a void, kind of. You know what I mean? It felt
yeah.
like walking through a place I like to call the Further, and
Fervor.
yeah, and like I thought that worked really nicely. Like the blue lighting, I just really like sort of like I feel like I miss sort of these gothic campfire tales that have just like blue light, you know what I mean? Like blue tint to everything. It's there's something about that really works nicely for me. I really liked, for example, this was not blue, but it just like the gothic feel of something like oh, what is it? The Cabinet of Curiosities, that rat
Yeah.
episode or whatever,
Oh,
where it
yeah.
just kind of feels like it's pulled off of a pulp book cover. You know what I mean? I love that about it. And that scene
Goth
kind of has a
Randy.
lot of that. Even if like the acting wasn't good, and yeah, that scene kind of stands out as being kind of rough, but like visually it stuck with me as being really great.
I
Yeah.
agree.
So for all its faults and for it kind of fucked up the scene, but you know,
Yeah.
broken egg, spilled milk. What are you gonna do?
Looks good.
Mop it up.
That's all the trivia I got there, gentlemen. Let's go ahead and jump into our cooter of the week.
Straight chillin'. Gooder of the week.
Juice. What is a cooter and why do we hunt them?
Whoa! Cooter's character type in a straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter, but we want the cooter with the most points. The 5 points of cooterdom are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, who's our cooter this week?
Dobbs.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anybody that could even compete
Yeah,
with
because
Dobbs. He's the
everybody
only
else
person
is
with agency
controlled,
for
yeah.
most of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for like a couple of out of towners,
Yeah, that's
including
true.
George or whatever. But like he just gets seduced straight up, and in a
Yeah,
way that
poor
I'm just
guy.
like, yeah, get yours, George, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Get
dude.
yours. Get you some, George. Yeah.
That's,
I'm-
sometimes if it's too good to be true, it ain't true. You know.
No, I've
It's,
never
Probably.
experienced that.
Yeah,
Bob.
oh
I've
wow,
only
good
had
for
things be
you.
It's too good to be
exactly as-
true. Yeah, it's as advertised.
Too good to be ignored is what I would say.
Too
Well,
good to reject.
It's plum off.
It sounds plumb awesome. Yeah, it's got to be Dobbs, man. He's obviously very manipulative. He's manipulated the entire town.
Yep.
Arrogant as
He's
hell, I
murdering
would say.
folks and children. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
pathetic for his
Well,
own
it- the
pride.
path-
Well, I guess that would be a
his-
mix of smug arrogance and patheticness.
Yeah, and those two are so often combined, but yeah, definitely the smug arrogance. Like
Mm.
I don't know about, like, I literally make my living in an artistic field, and I still feel
Whoa,
like an
Randy.
egotistical prick when I'm like, yeah, I'm an artist. Like, I don't know, there's something like very self-aggrandizing about saying that about it yourself. So when he's like,
Yeah.
this is truly an art, Charlie, and I'm like,
A corporate
know, man.
artist,
This guy's-
maybe.
fucked. Yeah, I am. That is the truth.
How dare you get paid?
Make
How
your money.
dare.
whore.
Yep.
Sexual deviance. I mean, he's making snuff films while people are banging it out with corpses.
I mean,
Dude, the snuff films, why did they do that? That's another thing you could pull a thread and be like, what was the point of that?
think-
Just
Well,
to
I
show
thought-
Dan later? Like,
Reconstruction.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
When they were taking all the
Mm,
pictures, because sometimes
okay.
they burn them, and like
Yeah.
so. Yeah, that's what I.
that makes
that's
sense,
what I
actually.
thought,
Yeah, that's a good call. I was wondering about that because, like, he completely remakes that drifter girl's face out of nothing. Like,
Yeah.
he strips it to fucking musculature, and that's it. And I'm like, I mean, that's not how that should work, I don't think. But
He's
I don't
very
know enough to
talented, Randy.
dispute it. I don't know enough
It's
about the
witchcraft.
science to dispute it. So
So yeah, so we got smug arrogance, sexual deviance, patheticness,
Manipulation.
manipulation. So that's
His
4.
attire.
Looking
I-
attire.
what is he wearing? I
I
can't.
think he
remember.
looks dapper as fuck, honestly. Like, he
I
looks good.
remember that as well, but I can't picture it.
I think he was wearing like just like a 3-piece suit, maybe with a vest or something, and I feel like he had maybe like a little like lapel flower or something like that. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah,
Alright.
I'm gonna look it up.
Maybe
real
I'm
quick
making
just
that
so
up,
we can,
too, I
Yeah,
guess.
just so we can be sure. Yeah, I mean, he's wearing like a suit. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
got like a little
the hat.
flower lapel thing. In the
Okay.
picture, I don't see a hat, but
Well, early in the movie when he's outside and stuff,
Maybe,
he wears
yeah.
like an old school like 40s kind of hat.
But no, he looks,
feel
yeah, he looks slick. So he's only gonna get the 4.
4 out of 5.
Yeah, all right.
The monkey special.
Yeah,
The
full
monkey
s-
special?
4
Full
points
stars
out
out
of
of
5.
Oh, I don't
Keeping
know
it
who the fuck
relevant.
Arctic Monkeys are. So
Oh.
mhm.
Oh, boys,
That's Moon Man talk.
we gotta
That's a
get
solid cooter.
in the same way we made the boys Project 86 famous again. We gotta really spread the word for Arctic Monkeys. They're
Yeah,
struggling
nobody's
for
listening
listens.
anymore.
Yep.
All right,
Fan club numero uno right here.
all right, boys, we got
Yeah.
them.
I think we got him.
got
Dobbs,
'em.
lock him up. Throw away
Way
the
to
keys.
hunt some cooters, boys. You
Solid
guys are
cooter.
the best cooter hunters I know.
We're the only cooter hunters you know.
That's not true.
That's not true at all, actually.
There's
Shouts
a lot
outs
of
to
us
the
out
squad.
there. There's dozens of us.
Dozens. My goodness.
Hell yeah, squad deep. Be on the lookout for cooters. Gentlemen, let's chill the fuck out. Talk about what we've been watching this week.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
All right, birthday boy, kick us off. What you been watching?
Yeah, so honestly, this is another light week. It's an insanely busy week for me. Busy month, busy year so far. I only have 2 entries since our last discussion on this. The first is a true crime miniseries. I believe it was Netflix, but it could have been Hulu. Anyway, I think it's Netflix, called Dancing for the Devil, which is a religious cult of TikTok dancer influencers who make a boatload of money and aren't allowed, or at one time weren't allowed to see their families and shit, and is led by a known abusive person / preacher. if you can believe all of that. And yeah, it's
So he
It's exactly what it sounds
locks them
like.
up so they can make TikTok videos? Is that what you're telling me?
no, he's no, he they're a cult. He makes them beholden to him in every way, and then
Oh,
takes all their money, and keeps them from engaging with people who might break them out of that situation and tell them, hey,
okay.
they shouldn't be taking 95% of your money.
He's a
Um,
pimp, is what you're telling me.
he motherfucking PIMP is what I'm
Alright,
telling
so-
you. No, he's a piece of shit. Anyway, so that's it's exactly what it sounds like. I didn't there weren't a whole lot of surprises in that one. It's just very very sad that people fall into this sort of shit. People just trying to make a living doing something artistic like dance or whatever, and they end up working for corporate interests. I mean, for cult leaders. Yeah. And then second, I got a new uh sound bar / streaming device for my birthday. And I also got a new Blu-ray 4K upscaling player, and I wanted to break those in.
Nice.
So I threw on a one of the few it's not a 4K, but one of the few like newer Blu-rays that are like that made sense, I think, for that setup. And I watched Scream. I watched the original Scream, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. God, that movie's fucking great. And also, I gotta say, there's something I never really paid much attention to that made me laugh a lot, which was Dewey going to talk to the sheriff while eating a fucking ice cream cone.
Yeah.
I don't know why I never really like thought much about that, but him just like kind of like covertly trying to take a lick and shit is fucking. It made me laugh really hard.
What
So,
he's
I don't
trying to do in that scene is mimic the sheriff. The sheriff is smoking a cigarette. Every time he takes a drag, Dewey tries to lick his ice cream cone.
I didn't even notice that part. I just thought he was like awkwardly trying not to be like, because he looks like a little kid and he acts like a little kid.
Yeah.
He's trying not to seem that way, and I just thought he was trying to be like, well, I have nowhere to put this, so I have to either eat it quickly or pretend it's not there. And so he's just kind of like, I don't know.
That movie's amazing.
He's ashamed of his cream, which, as we all know, is just a real shame.
It is a shame.
It's a great movie. It was great to break in the new system on that, and yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to build up that collection now, Randy. Now that you got all these sweet new toys.
You have to.
I can just now play them. Like, I have a small collection of things, but the tray on my old fucking Blu-ray player just would not open anymore. So
Mm,
I can now use
that's
it
the
for its
huge
intended purpose.
downside of physical media. Is you
You
gotta have
know,
a player, a reliable
you-
mechanical player.
If you just plant your old player, it'll sprout a Blu-ray tree, and then you'll never have to buy them.
Where did Bob go wrong? Were he and his friends sifting way too long through those Blu-ray bins? And it gets worse, he'll have no jet ski, wasting all his dough on those DVDs.
We're gonna hear
I
from
mean-
Slutty Steve shortly.
Bob, I
know it.
I will say, when you first moved into the house, I thought like, oh, Bob's got quite a bit of room on those shelves, but now not so much.
It feels like it's filled out a little bit.
Yeah,
What do you
I
think?
feel like, I mean, and maybe you're still unpacking, but before I thought like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought, but now it's as bad as I thought.
Nothing has really changed in this room since. I mean, so
Yeah.
I built a couple more shelves that you can't see over here,
Uh-huh.
actually. But from what
We
you
can
can
sense them.
see, it's just been the same every week.
Wow.
But I feel like each week you
Mm.
guys are like, "Oh my god, there's just so much."
No,
more."
last
But
time I
Well, yeah,
thought
we're
I
gonna go
didn't
back and
agree, but
check the
this time
tape,
I'm
yeah.
looking at it, and it does look a lot more filled out.
It looks
this time
filled
for
out
some
for
reason.
sure.
interesting.
I'm gonna go
Actually,
back and look.
I think I did move this shelf and put a
Mhm,
different one there, but this
mhm.
one's actually bigger. So I don't know. Let's the room's not done, but all the movies are in here. There are no more movies coming in. All the movies are in. They've been in here. They've been in here. All right,
All
Juice.
right.
Juice, what you been watching?
Dude, I literally have nothing on my list. I'm
Tight.
too busy to watch movies. Sad day it is, but Bob, what have you been watching?
Just a couple things, not a lot. So I checked out The Strangers Pray at Night. Had it on the dome, because we talked about the new
Oh,
one.
Yeah.
and it mostly held up for me. Maybe not quite as good as I thought it would, but I think generally speaking, it works well as just a fun slasher movie. I think if it was called anything else, people would like it more. It is not the extremely tight, tense home invasion movie that the original is. It's a big, dumb, fun slasher movie.
Yeah.
Very different vibe.
Yeah.
So I could see, people going in with the expectations that it's going to be similar to the first movie and being pretty let down. But overall, it's pretty good. And it's only like 80 minutes. It's a very short movie.
Okay.
Some good kills. Overall, I enjoy it still. I also watched The Last Stop in Yuma County.
Oh, I've heard about that.
It's kind of like I don't know, inspired by westerns, I guess. I would hesitate to call it a western. It's about this gas station that's like in the middle of the desert, and these two dudes, they rob a bank and they stop to fill up their car, and the gas station's out of gas. The truck is on the way, but it's running late, so they hang out in the diner next door. They're waiting for the truck to arrive, and then other patrons show up. They also they're forced to wait in the diner because they can't leave because they don't have any gas. And then it just sort of spirals out of control. It feels kind of Tarantino-esque in the way that things play out.
Mm.
They
There's
market it that way.
there's a whole host of characters. Richard Brake is in this movie. Oh damn, I'm blanking on the dude's name. The guy that's from the Wolf of Snow Hollow who stars and directed it. I can't remember his name now.
Oh, Sam.
No, it's not Sam. I really like everything that I've seen him in. He's a really great actor and director, actually. Anyway, the movie, it's got this kind of pseudo modern Western vibe. Some blood, some guts, some twists, some turns. It's got Jocelyn Donahue in it as well, from House of the Devil. She's in it. So it's got it's interestingly enough got like a pretty well-known horror cast, but it's not a horror movie. So I don't know if you just saw the cast. Yeah, Jim Cummings. Thank you. I really like that dude. He's great. It's solid. It feels like maybe a little too familiar. I don't know. Like I wasn't as surprised as I thought I would be. When they get all the pieces sort of set on the chessboard, the way it plays out. I don't know. It's worth watching, I think. I feel like this is definitely destined for Hulu. I rented it for a few bucks. I'd say wait for it to hit Hulu or whatever streamer you got. It's worth watching though. It's good. It's definitely good. And the only other thing I watched was The First Omen, which you're gonna have to check out my mini cast on.
Oh God.
Boring. I did actually go to the theater and watch In a Violent Nature again.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Which was cool. And also maybe I recorded a mini cast on that too.
Whoa, Bob, tease
It'd
me.
be worth it.
It's a bit of a tease. So there you go, folks. That's what we've been watching this week. We have a lot of voicemails. So let's go ahead and get into our hotline screams.
Let's do that now.
Hotline scream.
If you guys are listening and would like to call in and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got 4 folks calling in this week. First up, we're going to hear from old Jet Ski Steve. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Hey, fellas. It's Jet Ski Steve. How you doing? I got a lot of shit on my chest for this call. I'm going to try and get through it in one voicemail, but I might have to call back. So you might hear me again. First off, I think last time I called in, this doesn't really matter. You said, we think this is Steve, but we're not sure. I had just always assumed that when Google Voice says, say your name, that was like passed on to you guys, but maybe you don't hear that part. So from now on, I will say, this is Steve. How are you? So I'm going through some old episodes. I'm just going to randomly hit on points here. And someone was talking about shitting your pants stories. And somebody said, well, at least they didn't shit in the pool. And I have a shit in the pool story. It wasn't me, thankfully.
Liar.
But a couple of years ago, went on a
Believe you.
cruise, and we were on whatever the little Royal Caribbean island is. And we're in the pool, we're hammered, the DJ's going, we're acting like idiots. We're having a good time. And all of a sudden, we see everyone being ushered out of the pool. No idea what's going on. Come to find out, somebody shit in the pool. Never found out who it was. Probably saved us from getting sunburned, so it was about time to get out. So maybe it was a bit of a blessing. But it turns out someone did shit in the pool. So just watch out. Okay, next. I just watched the last voyage of the Demeter, and I really liked it. I just listened to your episode on it. And I think that maybe not being, you guys are sophisticated film aficionados, and I'm just a dumb slob who doesn't understand, when a director does something and people say, oh my God, it represents the duality of man, and this is what this means. Look at the way he shot it. We can infer this meaning. I don't know a goddamn thing. I just watched the movie, and I like it or I don't. And I thought it was really fun. It was I like the term atmospheric. I thought the shots were really well done. And I am into that nautical horror, and there's not a lot of it out there. So let's kind of scratch that itch for me. I watched it with my girlfriend on Memorial Day, and we had gone to the beach earlier, and it was foggy as shit, and the fog was rolling in on the ocean and the beach. By the time we left, you could hardly see anything. We live in Jersey. It was really cool. And I said, I know what we can watch tonight. We'll open the windows. It started raining. It was the perfect outside weather for the tone of that movie. So could have been better, yes, but I liked it generally. I also watched The Haunting in Venice. Oh, not of time.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, Steve did
Yeah.
call back again, and if we're loaded down with voicemails this week, so we're only going to play your first one, Steve. Sorry, man. We just got too much to get to tonight. But yeah, I actually
Call again
recently-
with next week.
Yeah,
do the
yeah.
rest.
Please do call in next week. I would say I've never shit in the pool myself. I don't think I've ever been in a pool where someone shat in it, but I was
gonna
recently at that Coco Cay, that the little like privately owned island that Royal Caribbean has or whatever. I've seen that pool. If I was in it and someone shit in it, I would be upset. That would suck, dude.
I was gonna say, Bob, we spent many a time in your pool back in the day.
No shit.
And as many times it's like some people got fucked up or something. I don't think anybody ever shit in the pool.
Yeah.
It's
know?
a real
We're
missed
good.
opportunity is what it
Yeah.
is.
We were good guests.
Hashtag blessed.
We only fucked up the pool once, and it really badly. But
Was that with the tornado or whatever?
yeah, where we were
The
doing
whirlpool.
a
The
whirlpool, and it just like ripped the entire lining, and the pool just like fell apart or
Oh
something.
no! It just
Oh,
knocked the
no, the
stairs loose. And we
stairs.
fixed them. We fixed
The
them.
stairs like blew away.
Oh, I'm conflating two things that happened.
Yeah,
okay.
no.
The lining did at
yeah.
some
we
point
fi-
tear, but
we
that wasn't
fixed the
us.
stairs.
Yeah, the
Okay, all
lining
right.
got a hole in it. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was Father's Day, actually. We
Oh,
sat
no.
down outside
Ooh.
to have dinner. We just sat down, and then like in the corner of the yard, we just hear this,
Oh no!
and like water is gushing out of the
Oh,
pool, and we're
no.
like, oh shit,
No shit though.
no shit, no,
And it
Thank
wasn't because of a
God.
whirlpool. Can't put that one on me, Bob.
not to my knowledge, no.
I was putting it on you.
Not to my knowledge.
Whirlpool. That's just...
Never whirlpool, people. It's
Don't
a
do it.
one-way ticket to shame.
Dude,
Don't
those
do
roll-ups
it.
were pretty fun, though. I'm not gonna lie.
They are fun.
They would get
There's a
wild
reason.
Yeah, because you could just lift your legs up and the current
and
would carry
go.
you around.
Yeah, you just spin your ass and also fuck up the pool.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, Steve, if you like seaside type horror, nautical horror stuff, spooky seaside, foggy towns, Dead and Buried's for you, man.
Dead and buried.
Check it out.
Yep.
Check it out.
That the mutilator, get in there, man. Enjoy yourself.
Get mutilated. You'll
Get
love
mutilated, my guy.
Yes.
You're
You'll love it.
going to love it.
Yeah, call in next week, man. Finish up your stories. Next up, we are gonna hear from the librarian. Let's hear what she's got to say.
Gentlemen, Hey, howdy. It's my birthday. I'm 27, yeehaw. And I celebrated last night by seeing I Saw the Devil, and boy howdy, was that quite honestly a perfect movie till someone dug through feces! Like, there's some graphic violence in that movie, like an Achilles tendon being cut, and that was nothing compared to my terror, fear, and disgust at the dreaded shit shot. Ugh! Yuck! Poop isn't cool. It shouldn't be seen. I don't think poop jokes are funny. It's just gross! I literally don't want pets or children because I don't love anything enough to pick up its poop or wipe its butt. Ugh! God! Anyway, I'm reading The Walking Dead, and it slays. Unlike poop. Bye!
Man, I don't understand how somebody who doesn't like poop jokes can listen to our asses.
Yeah,
every week.
I was
That's
gonna
nuts.
say. Our previous call was all about us talking about shit in your pants.
Shit your pants stories that we have prompted on numerous occasions.
Also, too, he
It's
said,
not a
I got
one-off.
some shit I got to get off my chest, and I'm not going to lie, I had a bunch of poop jokes running through my mouth.
Yeah,
Oh,
that man's
yeah.
covered in
glass
shit.
bottom. He loves
Glass
nautical
bottom.
stuff, including glass bottom boats. I'm
My
sure
girlfriend.
Ripley is, or I'm sure the librarian is not laughing at that.
Yeah, happy birthday to librarian.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Damn, we got all these
birthday.
June birthdays.
Hell
I
yeah,
know, we're June
Gemini
bugs in this bitch.
Squad. Hope you got a bunch of books. You
Yeah.
can file away.
They're
Undoubtedly,
already
yes.
finished.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, I don't remember the poop in Late Night with the Devil. Am I?
I
Do you
mean,
guys
I
remember
was
that?
thinking that
No,
too.
no, it's not Late Night with the Devil. It's I Saw the Devil.
Oh, I saw.
Which I had
I
not seen.
saw.
Sorry,
I
sorry,
did,
sorry,
dude.
sorry,
I
sorry.
did the same thing.
Oh,
I did. I
okay.
was like
Yeah.
thinking. I was like, I don't remember that. Okay.
But I
okay.
did mishear her when she said feces and I heard CDs. She's digging through CDs. I was like,
Oh, those
what,
bastards.
I hate them.
those. It's like, you really not into anachronistic technology, I guess. Okay.
CDs are still cool, man.
Cassettes are coming
Sure.
back. They're the cool thing.
I'm sorry.
In vinyl for
sorry.
sure. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, vinyl
Sure.
is coming
That's fine.
back. It's just now happening.
No. Cassettes.
I have,
think
I have an
cassettes are
insane
new-ish.
prediction.
Oh, just like vinyls.
Vinyl is on its way back, if you can believe.
Oh my
Well, I
God.
think
Invest in
they're
wax.
safe investment.
Oh my
Wax
God.
futures are where your money should be going right now.
That Jack White really knew what he was doing. He was onto
Oh, yeah.
something.
He did. He was.
Well, I hope you had a great librarian, sans, excluding the shit.
Oh yeah.
Excluding the shit.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Next up, who we got? Chris. Chris on the line. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Hey, Straight Chillin' crew. This is Chris in Louisiana. I just got done listening to the Strangers episode, which it's funny. If I'm interested in watching a movie that you guys are reviewing, I'll wait, especially if it's one that just came out in the theaters. But if it's one that I'm not interested in watching, I'll just go ahead and listen to the episode. But I found it thoroughly amusing, and I just general consensus for everything I've read about Strangers. I knew that was going to kind of be the consensus. But the reason I was calling was I kind of was thinking, and Soju is completely right. Like people, if you have a passive interest in these kinds of legacy sequels and remakes and reboots, if you're not interested, even if you're minorly interested, but you don't think it's going to be good, don't spend that money, because the movie studios are just going to keep doing this, and they're going to keep doing it, and it's easy because, they generally make money. And I know you guys were talking about The Exorcist, bombing, but I think really the only reason that The Exorcist bombed so hard was not the budget of the film itself, but that absorbent amount of money that they paid for the rights to use it, so it just kind of, and I think they paid so much that it's not going to keep them from not making sequels, so it's like they're going to keep doing it. The only way that they're going to stop is if you stop spending money. Me personally, is like, I just don't have the time to waste, to watch stuff that I'm just kind of passively interested in. It's like, sure, the Strangers original, that was pretty good. I hated Strangers at Night. So I'm just, not going to watch this one at all, even if it's streaming on free. But the reason I was calling was it got me thinking about sequels and remakes and reboots. It's like, is there anything that you guys can think of that you would be interested in seeing? And the older I get, it's like really the only franchise that I would like them to never make, like that they would, I'd like them to never stop making is Friday the 13th. You know, it's just such a simple formula, and it's so easy to follow it and make something, you know, that's entertaining to me personally. But that was my question for you guys, was like, you know, is there anything that a remake, reboot, sequel, you know, that you can think of that you would just generally like them to keep making, you would keep seeing it no matter what? Thanks for the show. Talk to you later. Bye.
So yeah, I mean, we actually kind of answered that about this movie that we reviewed today.
Yeah.
Dead and Buried. It's definitely one of the revisits and revisitums, whatever we call them.
Go back some revisitums.
Go backsums and revisitums. Yeah, this is definitely one of those that I think, as much as I I did like this one, but there's like things that could be easily done, like we talked about, to improve it, to give it a little more depth, maybe, or maybe just, you know, fix a few errant problems. And with a new cast or whatever, it's also like obscure enough to where you're not like going to be holding people. It feels like, it doesn't feel like the kind of movie that you have to be hyper beholden to the original in terms of like hitting the same beats all the time. Like if you remake Halloween or whatever, there's some very specific expectations, you know, like I don't know. I don't think that those expectations are as dire or necessary for this one. I think that they could do something pretty interesting with it, honestly, as long as the beats they do need to hit are like great effects, brutality, charismatic characters with some levity and humor thrown in, and just a nice spooky location shot well. It's really all it needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the only like things that pop into my mind where I'm like, yeah, I'll generally like watch it if a new one comes out. It's like Friday the 13th is a good call out just because it doesn't depend on any one person. You know, even like with Scream 7 coming out, they're like, oh, we got to bring back what's her face, and you know, and all these people, and like who's gonna live and who's gonna die. But things like Friday the 13th, or we've talked about, it's like Godzilla. You know, crank out a new Godzilla movie, probably gonna watch it unless it's that newest one, which I didn't watch. But it's fine because when another one comes out, it doesn't matter that I didn't watch that one. It's not like this Marvel House of Cards where one thing seems to matter to another thing and you're lost if you didn't watch it. But like, I think like most things, I don't really care about a sequel. Like Beetlemang's coming out, and like Michael Keaton's like old now, and it's just like you can only keep that going for so long. Only things that aren't tied to like specific people can only be pulled off that way. So there's a very few, you know, your Batmans, your Godzillas, your Friday the 13th works well. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love Friday the 13th to just keep rolling, but it's still kind of fucked up in
But to be
lawsuits and stuff.
honest, with that in a violent nature,
Yeah.
you could literally slap the whole time I was watching them, you could slap the name Friday the 13th on it, and I would be fine to accept that. Like that to me could just as easily be a Friday the 13th film, and I would be fine.
Change the mask, and yeah.
And even if they didn't, I mean, it's really the core of what a Friday the 13th movie is, and so that's good enough for me. Like,
well, that's what it's playing off of.
Yeah.
And it's definitely like it's close enough to scratch that itch for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I kind of, there's definitely some, like a handful of franchises that could just go on in perpetuity. I think that's acceptable. The problem is that like that's all that the money is going towards in so many cases.
Sure.
And it's just leaving very little on the table for anything else of value. And I don't think we're not breaking new ground by saying any of that. So I am interested though. He made me think of something because Red Letter Media, like this yesterday or something, released something about the death of movie theaters and how like all these movie theaters are closing or whatever. And like, I don't have any like conclusion to this whatsoever. I'm just like noticing like, yeah, on the one hand, you don't want to like give money to studios that are insulting you by releasing slipshod products and just with names you recognize and assuming that you'll slop it up like a good little piggy. Like you don't want to reward that like with The Strangers. At the same time, there may not be a whole lot of theaters, like it's exacerbating the other problem, which is that theaters can't sustain themselves anymore. Something's got to give there in a number of ways. So it's a very complex issue, but it just made me think of that. Like, man, it kind of runs contrary to a different issue. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Most franchises I don't really give a shit about. Like, I don't need more, of really any of the bigger franchises. The things that are more interesting to like remake or sequelize are the ones that weren't nailed like from the start. Like I think I mentioned last week or the week before, Pumpkinhead, like remake Pumpkinhead, remake Dead and Buried, like, movies that like have a great idea but maybe are a little rough around the edges. Those are the ones that are really ripe for being remade. If you were gonna sequelize something that is like a banger but just for whatever reason never became a franchise, like you could make, I think, a pretty interesting sequel to Event Horizon somehow. Like
maybe
go nuts,
Yeah, but see,
the thing
even
is-
now we've reached that point. If they came out and they said there's a new Event Horizon coming out, I'd probably roll my eyes at it because,
Oh yeah. Well,
you
that's the
know,
default
like, I
position for
mean,
me,
yeah, I
certainly.
mean, it's just like, I don't know, sometimes it just feels, at this point, I feel like it's gotten to the point where it feels exploitative.
They need to convince me
It's like
that
we
it is
have
an
to
artistic
find
choice,
something.
not
Yeah.
a money choice.
I don't necessarily need it.
No,
but,
I understand what you're
you know.
saying. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just
I
like
think
that's
that
one of
it
those
has
like
the capability to be
successful
good.
films of like,
Yeah.
are there enough people who regard this movie highly enough to get them in the theater just on name alone? Like,
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like the ones that are guaranteed like slam dunks in terms of getting people in because it's so beloved, that's a double-edged sword, because if it's that beloved, that means that it might not need that much improving, and it just become like it's like the greatest remakes that I can think of are like The Fly, The Blob, things like that, movies that are remaking movies that were good for their time and interesting and had interesting core ideas, but were maybe a little silly in some ways, or looked back upon kind of like not seriously in a lot of ways. And they took them like hyper serious and made them cool. Like they made them fucking
they made them
badass
dark,
and interesting.
they made them gritty,
Well,
grounded.
not even just it doesn't have to
yeah.
be those things. It just has to have like pathos, and that's what you need. Is you need to find these like hidden gem concepts that can be improved, not find the most marketable name and then try and rework that lightning back into the bottle. That's the problem, that they're doing that all the time.
Yeah, they are indeed. Make it grittier, darker, grounded. Yeah.
Attribute that quote to me.
Randy, straight
Make
thanks
it
for calling,
meta.
Chris. Obviously, you had some great thoughts, great questions. We went on a bit of a tirade there. We do have one more voicemail to get to real quick. Let's hear from ya boy Brandon.
The beacons were lit. Stone voicemails were called upon, and the Squatch will listen. I don't fucking know. I'm pretty stoned, boys. You know who it is. It's the Squatch himself. Shaboy Brandon. What's going on? It's been a bit. Pretty stoned. So, check. Just calling because I saw a joke on the side of the road today, and I thought it was pretty funny. Figured you guys would think it's funny too. What do you call fish with no eyes? A fish. So yeah, pretty bad. Peace.
Peace. That was great.
That's what we asked for.
I forgot we put
That
that
is.
beacon up. He's like, the beacon
The
was
beacon.
lit, and I was like, oh my god, is he gonna read a curse on us right now? What's happening? Am I about to become the Walking Dead? hilarious. I also love that he paused for us to respond so many times. So great. So great.
How do you see
Happy
a joke
birthday,
on the side of
Randy.
the road?
I don't know.
I don't know, but I guess it's a billboard, maybe. I don't know. That's all I could think. Unless,
All right.
some helpful roadside comedian is writing his jokes
That
out on
seems like
whiteboard.
dangerous. Like if you're trying to read the punchline
Yeah,
and then
of a
you,
joke.
you're driving down the road. I don't know.
I
A little
mean,
questionable.
If it's like billboards have jokes all the time, and Lord knows we're not putting an end to that anytime soon. That's big business.
But thanks for obliging, Brandon.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for your
That's
call.
just what the doctor ordered.
Hell
I
yeah.
laughed a great deal.
You did. You probably shit your pants. I bet you did.
Oh yeah.
Happy birthday.
Let's talk about it.
He's got bigger fish to fry than this, It's something to call in.
Well, yeah,
All right.
thanks for obliging, Brandon. Thanks to everybody calling in this week. Again, if you'd like to call in for next week, hit us up at 904-638-3231. Gentlemen's prompts for next week. Anything you want to throw out?
I don't know, man. I like what we got this week, so more of that.
What's
Call
your
in
summer
drunk,
vacation
stoned.
plans? Kicking off summer season. Here we go. Got any special destinations on the horizon? You gonna go swimming in the pool, shitting in the pool? What you doing?
What pool are you gonna shit in first?
Yes, I don't know. What's your summer plans?
What you doing?
With locations and times.
Yeah, and credit card numbers too. We need to verify
Yes,
some
yeah.
things.
Are
You
you
need to check your
having-
passports to make sure you're legally allowed to go where you want to go.
Who's signing up for the Straight Chillin' Summer Vacation? Go ahead and send your credit card numbers in now. We'll get those payments processed, and we'll be sending you that information soon.
We'll lock the
Payment-
tickets in for
Yeah,
you.
we'll lock it in.
Payments can be made by purchasing iTunes gift cards at your local Target and depositing them into the mail slot
In my
for us.
ass.
Dates coming soon.
Yeah, call
Mhm.
in with your hot ghoul summer plans. Let us know what you're doing, what you're watching, where you swimming, where you shitting. 904-638.
What are you buying?
We're gonna be back next week with a brand new show. As always, we're talking about a classic next week. A classic science fiction film.
Science friction.
Science friction film.
Whoa.
Ooh.
It is 1978's Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Of the Booty
Speaking of great
Snatchers.
remakes.
Booty Snatcher. Yeah.
Which
for real.
version are we watching, Bob? Oh, did you already say?
1978. The only one that came out in
78.
1978. Watch that one.
Gotcha.
That we know of.
That we right? Oh my
My-
God. There you
Yes.
go.
Yes.
Check it out. Get ready for next week's show. Until then, you can find us on all the social medias. Just search Straight Chilling Podcast. We'll pop right up. If you want to join in our Slack channel conversations, daily Slack channel conversations, hit us up on one of those social media outlets and I'll send you a link so you can join in on the fun. That's going to do it for us this week at Straight Chilling. Until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
What she wants is a good kick in the pants.